Okay, guys, we are live. If you guys can hear me, put a one in the chat, put a W in the chat, put T.C.C in the chat. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Chicago Conservative Live Stream Edition. And today, guys, we're going to be reacting to something very, very interesting that popped up on my time feed. Excuse me, guys. And this is Didi, and his show is the name DDGotAPodcast. And I was just on his show actually yesterday debating him about whether, Charlie Kirk's death or whether Candace Owens was credible with her information. And in my opinion, I don't think it's credible as of yet. And I'm going to stand on that because we need to basically have factual information first. Now, I'm not going to dispute anything Candace has said. And I told Didi that. But my thing is, when he was bringing up movies and things like that, okay, yes, it is pretty strange that, all of the things is coincidental, but is this actual proof that you could use in court that someone else was involved in the death of Charlie Kirk? I think not. So I came across another one of his videos, guys, that I think he uploaded last night after we did the live stream, and it's titled "Proving Charlie Kirk was a racist, hypocrite, and an agent." Now, I'm not sure how many facts he's going to present in this video, but you guys already know we factually based over here on this channel. And we're just going to be fact checking a lot of stuff that he says in this video because I haven't seen any of this yet. I believe this is a 3-hour live stream. So, hey, grab your popcorn, guys. But I already see an interesting comment here. I don't know who Lovely Soul is, but she says, unfortunately, he wasn't a racist. It's sad that our community doesn't listen with good intentions to hear what he is saying. One of the reasons we have gotten nowhere as a culture, but with hands out. Yeah, and I actually agree with that 1,000%. That's why I'm actually making this video, because in my opinion, Charlie Kirk wasn't a racist at all. I don't even know where the hell he's getting at when it comes to this. And he's honestly sounding like someone that's coming from the left. Even his chat yesterday, guys, it's like it was giving me like a lot of FBA vibes, if or a lot of like, I don't know, like the people just seemed a little cuckoo. I'm not like trying to, I'm not trying to insult him or his chat or anything like that, but they just was really coming off as like ad hominem and stuff. And then I had to defend myself then because they were acting like they weren't calling me out by my name and stuff like that. Then they were playing the victim card. And that tends to that is what the left does, guys. They talk about you or they do something to you. And then when you retaliate in the same way, then they're going to say, oh, well, he was doing it to us. Okay, but I'm not gonna push on that, for too long. But the thing is, anybody, in my opinion, who uses the term racist, it's like red flags should be going after that. Because when people use the term racist and things like that while being black in America, my thing is this. First, I've never heard Charlie Kirk say anything that was racist. Now, did he critique black people? Yes. But like I said, he was using factually based information. So we're going to definitely have to get into this video, guys. I'm very, very interested in what he's going to say here. And on top of him saying that Charlie Kirk is a racist, he also said that he's a hypocrite and an agent. So I would love to see the evidence that he have to basically prove his claim here. So without further ado, guys, we're going to get right into it. Let's roll the clip.
What up? What up? What up? Somebody said I'm on minority time. That's actually a good one. I'm on minority time. I like that. It's called BPT, Black People Time. I was a little minute behind. That's funny.
See, and
that's funny.
See, but that's the thing though. Like, that's not really funny though. Like, I understand that, but it's like you portraying the stereotype about black people, bro, about not being on time for anything. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is leftist garbage right there. I wouldn't be happy about somebody saying I'm on black people time. I would apologize for being late. I wouldn't laugh about that, especially if they're saying, oh, you're on black people time. As a black man, bro, I'm not saying you should be offended, but you shouldn't be perpetrating the stereotype, dude.
Let's get up in here, man. We finna talk about this. We're about to talk about this. No, it's not clickbait. I'm seeing all the comments, man. No, it's not clickbait. No, it's not clickbait. Give me some ones in the chat if you can hear me. What up, everybody? Give me some ones in the chat if you can hear your boy. Bet. Hit that like button on your way in if you don't mind. Hit that like button on the way in if you don't mind. My moderator, that's funny. Yeah, get on up in here. We got a lot to talk about. Just to let everybody know up front, I am not going to talk about the memorial yesterday, even though I saw a lot of weird things from the memorial, such as them advertising for Palantir at the memorial service. The advertising for Palantir on the screen at a funeral. If you're wondering, yes, I saw Erica Kirk's hand signed to the crowd. I saw all of that, but we're not even going to talk about that in this live. We're not even going to talk about that in this live. We normally dive super deep. But I wanted to talk about low-level racism today because I believe if you accuse a man of being racist, it's certain things that if you accuse one man as a grown man, if you accuse somebody of being something, you should have to back it up. I'm holding myself accountable. I've said I agree with many things that Charlie Kirk has said. I love the fact that he talked about Jesus Christ all the time, and he did talk about the gospel all the time, and I love that about him. But there were things that Charlie Kirk said often that I believe had racist implications, had racist undertones, and I'm standing by. And I believe after this live, I will prove that. I want to state once again for the record that I don't care much about low-level racism. That is to say, if a person don't like me because of my skin color, I don't think anything should happen to them. I don't care about that. I don't want to fight you. I don't even think any less of you. I just think it's low-level thinking. There's much bigger challenges in this world. This is a spiritual fight. That's what I care about. But for those of you out there that said that Charlie Kirk wasn't a hypocrite, that said that Charlie Kirk wasn't these things, I'm about to prove that in this video. I wanted to start with this comment right here. This girl said, unfortunately, he wasn't a racist. It's sad that our community doesn't listen with good intentions to hear what he is saying. One of the reasons we have gotten nowhere as a culture, but with hands out. Lovely soul, I'm going to come to you with grace. Do you watch my content? Lady, I have almost 500 public videos on this channel. Almost 500 public videos. Well over 90% of them are about Black people, about how we're not accountable, exposing the hypocrisy, exposing the evil, exposing the debauchery, exposing the hood culture within our culture or within our community, exposing the lack of culture, exposing the lack of dads in a home. Lady, you clearly do not watch DD's content. I think it's arrogant and conceited to refer to yourself in third person. You don't watch my content. If this comment right here is for me, you don't watch my content, clearly. Michael Jackson, Martin Luther.
Okay, so first, I just want to say he definitely critiques Black people, okay? So I just want to throw that out there. But second, he said something that was very, very interesting. Like I said, guys, I'm going to be fact-checking throughout this whole video. Now, he said that Palantir was promoted, or I guess, you know, they were shown on the screen at Charlie Kirk's funeral or memorial service. And there is no credible evidence that Palantir was promoted at the memorial service of Charlie Kirk. I mean, it was held at State Farm Stadium in Arizona, September 21st, 2025, with over 90,000 attendance. I mean, there is nothing that says anything when it comes to connection with Palantir here. So I'm not. Merchandise was sold in the hallway, such as red hats with Kirk on them, similar to MAGA style merchandise. So I'm not understanding what or where Palantir lies in that. Even though we all know about JD Vance and Palantir, but I mean, I'm just fact checking what he's saying. So let's continue.
King Jr. How many rappers? 150,000 rappers I've talked about on this channel. All black people. They look like me. Don't tell me about accountability, lady. I am the epitome of accountability on this channel. I start with my community first before I go anywhere else. Just like the reason I say we shouldn't be sending money to any foreign nation because America is going down the drain. We need to start it in-house first. Please do not send me. I had somebody else comment under this video that said, oh, I can't wait to see this live. This must be clickbait because this live is going to really indicate if I'm going to continue to watch DD's content or not. Huh? One thing about me is that I am consistent. I will be consistent. What I say about my community, I will say about anybody else's community as long as it's the truth. Call me what you want. You will very rarely be able to call me a liar.
Okay. So I guess he's just addressing his chat right now. I mean, I'm not really sure how this is relevant. I mean, we could just skip and hop right into the evidence part, but let's continue, guys.
Off of here. Now that we've addressed that, now let me say before we get into the topic, once again, as a reminder, please go and follow me on Instagram and Twitter, please, because once again, with the type of stuff we talk about, like what we're about to talk about in this video, there are certain communities, if you talk about them, or a certain community, if you talk about them on YouTube, you can lose your YouTube channel, which will be very relevant when it comes to Charlie Kirk in this video. So I need you all to follow me on Instagram, please, so that way if they ever take my YouTube channel, I will have a way to reach you all. That will be very, very important. So please go and follow me on Instagram. Please go and follow me. I'm still working to hire somebody to make some clips for me so I can start posting.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to.
And a part of a certain group of people you're not allowed to talk about. This video will probably be part one of two, possibly three. All right. So I know what y'all came here for. Possibly TikTok as well. I'm working on it. I promise you, I'm working on it. You got to hire somebody to do the work for me. But let's get into this. I'm not going to wait too much of your time. I know lives can take forever. Let's get into the first clip. I do believe that Charlie Kirk said several things that was rooted in racism. But to prove my point, I'm going to start this live off with many things that Charlie Kirk said that people deem to be racist and extremely controversial that I do not believe was racist and I do not believe was controversial. So before we play that clip, let's listen to a classmate of Charlie Kirk's. This person purports to be a classmate of Charlie Kirk's. Yes, he could be lying. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about a lawsuit. This video has went viral. Let's hear what he had to say about how Charlie Kirk was in high school. Let me state before we play this video. Simply based off what one other person said about you is not an indicator or not necessarily an indicator of who you are as a person. It also does not mean that he's telling the truth.
Right.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt. It does not necessarily mean he's telling the truth. And even if he is telling the truth about Charlie Kirk's belief while he was in high school or behavior while he was in high school, this does not mean or does not necessarily mean that Charlie Kirk still thought and behaved this way. Right? So let me hit you with those disclaimers before, but I want to play this video first. And then we're going to get into the first clip that went viral where people were saying Charlie Kirk was racist because of it. And I'm going to give you my thoughts. Check it out.
I grew up with Charlie Kirk. I went to high school with him. I'm not someone who knew him too much as an adult or long afterwards, but I was around him a lot.
He talking with his hands a lot, man. That's already strike one as this dude's being a soy boy.
A lot in high school, roughly from 2009 to 2011. And he was my bully. So I did not have a great opinion of him, really. But I will say this. Something changed. He was always kind of a pain to be around in high school. At least from my perspective, it was really relentless. But he wanted to go to West Point really, really, really badly. And he got rejected. I'm pretty sure it was the only school he applied to, and he got rejected. And after that happened, he would go around Wheeling High School, and anyone that would talk to him, he would say that it was some imaginary black person that took his spot. And that just set him off. And I think that was the only way that he could rationalize in his mind that he was not good enough for West Point. Like, don't get me wrong. He would go around telling like Jews that they were going to hell. He would say to the Latino kids and to the black kids, like, to go back to their countries, and like completely unprompted, bonkers stuff. He was like 16 when he was saying this stuff, but it really.
Okay. So first of all, there's just a lot that just sounds wrong with that in general. Because first of all, if Charlie Kirk was this racist, why are you the only classmate coming out saying this after he died? Come on, man. It's like, this would have been credible if he was alive, my dude. And where's the rest of your classmates saying this? You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, he probably did apply to West Point and probably didn't get in because Charlie didn't go to college. I'll give him that. But for him to say that, oh, I'm going to take it out on an imaginary black kid and what, them boys? Come on, dude. That's just a disingenuous statement. I don't even know why this clip is credible. Why even play this clip? If you said he could potentially be lying, what's the point of even like playing this? I'm not saying the West Point story isn't legit, but I'm talking about this guy being Charlie's high school classmate or some sort, and this is just allegedly. We don't even know if this is to be true or not.
He went to 11. Like, after he got rejected, just something happened. And I think that was the only way he could rationalize it. Do with that what you will. But he just couldn't handle that he got rejected. He couldn't possibly imagine that it was just bizarre. And like, this week has not been fun, but that is a memory that is distinctly coming back. And to a lot of us that like went to Wheeling High School with them, it's just, it was weird, man.
Now, once again, we don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but this is the statement of somebody that went to high school with him. Sure, Charlie Kirk could have changed his ways, but telling Hispanics and so-called black people to go back to their country, huh? Okay. Let me also preface this video before we get into the first clip. When I was surrounded by nothing but Democrats and progressives. And I remember when I first started, I was listening to people around me. Like, I went to the Clinton School, and I was listening to the opinions of those around me on a plethora of different topics. And I remember thinking, I don't agree with that. I remember thinking, and I heard something else. I was like, I don't agree with that either. But then I got online and I started finding clips from Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh and in some cases, Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens and Steven Crowder. And I was like, I agree with what they're saying. I've watched 10, 15 clips in a row. I agree with everything they're saying. Does that mean I'm what they would call a conservative? This is when I'm first learning what all of this stuff means, right? This is when I'm first learning all of this. So I was like, man. And then the more and more I watched Charlie Kirk.
So that's just what I don't understand. So you are understanding this when you're younger in the time. So now it just sounds like you're backtracking. So if you believe everything that they're saying, and now you're saying that Charlie Kirk is racist and he's an agent, I mean, you could be right about the agent part, but racist? Come on, dude. And I think people are really starting to not use words in their right meaning. Now, honestly, I don't even believe racism is real. Now, I believe bigots exist, but for someone to say they hate me because of my skin color or because of me being black, okay, what is black? Explain what is black. What is white? Explain these terms. You see what I'm saying? Is black? Oh, I'm this and I'm that. Like, so is black a stereotype or is black a skin tone? Like, what is it exactly? And no one can ever break that down for me. So that's why I just don't even believe racism. That's just my opinion. I don't believe racism exists. I think bigots exist, but that's just all a form of hatred.
And specifically Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh, I started to know a little bit of hypocrisy. I started to notice a little bit double standards. And I was like, I gave them so much benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, maybe I'm just looking too hard into it, or maybe I missed that video. And that was 4 years ago. That was 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago. Now, when I watch them, I say, there's a double standard. Let's talk about the double standard. Let's get into the first clip. Okay.
About who Charlie Kirk was. A man who educated. We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions.
If you're going to call someone else's rhetoric ignorant, shouldn't you make sure your rhetoric isn't ignorant? The Civil Rights Act didn't give Black Americans the right to vote. The 15th Amendment did that a century earlier. Then the Voting Rights Act in 1965 removed the barriers that states were still using to block Black people. But here's the deeper problem. AOC is attacking a straw man. Straw manning is when you twist someone's argument into a weaker version, then attack that instead of what they actually said. It's a logical fallacy. And it's what caused people to think Charlie Kirk is a racist. Here was his actual point.
You said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so the parts of the Civil Rights Act were great, but the way it's now being implemented to force men in female bathrooms to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the
Right. See how,
the original
man.
Well, that's interesting. So the intent.
That's what I'm saying. Like that clip that, first of all, it's so disingenuous for people to use this clip and say, oh, Charlie Kirk doesn't respect the Civil Rights Act. No, he said he respects the Civil Rights Act back in the day, but now they are using it and taking advantage of it to put boys in girls' bathrooms, to put men in women's restrooms. What's wrong with that? They are virtue signaling every single day, ladies and gentlemen. So was that one of the claims to say that Charlie Kirk is racist? Because if that's one of the claims, that's definitely, I'm not going to say low IQs. I know a lot of people be getting on me about that, but that's not a great way to go about that at all. Especially when he given props when due when it came to the Civil Rights Act back in the day. Nowadays, yes, it's being taken advantage of. I agree with that. Look at the Black community nowadays. What is Black Power movements and all of these groups when it comes to Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all of these people? What are these activists and all of this activism really doing for Black people? It's doing nothing.
Intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which was to say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business based on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with them. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then gave us affirmative action.
This is one of those clips of Charlie Kirk where he was not racist. He is absolutely right. And if you've watched my Martin Luther King documentary, you know he is spot on. The Civil Rights Act, the Civil Rights Movement was used as a Trojan horse to push other agendas, partially done by a certain community of people we can't talk about on YouTube, which we're going to get into later in this video when it comes to Charlie Kirk. He's absolutely right. There were many things about the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights Act that is absolutely noble, very good, and he said that, and I agree with him. So this is one of those things AOC and other Democrats, lying Democrats, strawmanned his argument. They know if they just take half of what he said and leave out the rest of the context, they can make him sound like a far-right racist. They're wrong about that. So he was not racist here. I 100% agree with him. Let's move to clip 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this was in response, first and foremost, to United Airlines saying that half of all their new pilots that they're going to hire are going to be women or people of color. Currently, they're 15%.
Okay.
So they want to go from 15% to 50%. A conversation then ensued about how every time affirmative action is employed, standards have to be lowered. There's not a single instance where that does not occur. So then I said, boy, if I see a black pilot, I'm now going to wonder, is that individual qualified? Were they selected because of their race? But that's not who I am, but this makes me think this way. And I stand completely by that statement.
Okay.
Secondly, let me just finish.
Sorry.
DEI and affirmative action, what it does is it lowers the merit, it lowers the threshold of standards and increases things that do not matter, such as skin color and ethnic background. So that is what I said.
Okay.
Now, a more important question to ask me is, Charlie, do you believe that black pilots can be qualified? Of course. Any individual can be qualified. I want a hiring quota and program that only cares about qualification, not skin color.
Once again, this is the statement he made about black pilots, stating that if he saw a black pilot over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, he's going to think, oh boy, I wonder if this person is qualified. This was not rooted in racism. He is spot on. And not only that, but it wasn't just white people that was thinking this way. There were several so-called black people that was thinking this way as well, because as I've shared with you all, I know from firsthand experience during the height of DEI over the past 3 years, I know for a fact many so-called black individuals and women were being hired who were undeserving of the positions. And undeserving, what I mean by that is not that they can't, eventually become qualified or up to par or up to standard for the position, but they were undeserving in comparison to maybe their white counterpart in that particular scenario. They were hiring people who did not have the merit. My problem is, if you're going to do that to try to make up for history, racist white people in history, then I would suggest when you hire these people, train them so that they become superheroes and they become so great at their job that no one can say anything about them once they leave that organization, right? My problem is, I know for a fact from firsthand experience, there are people that are being hired that are underqualified and they're not receiving adequate training. They're not becoming equipped while they're at the organization. That's not helping anyone. It's not helping the white people that you're turning down that are qualified. That's not helping the white people you're turning down that are not qualified. It's not helping the so-called Hispanic, or even women that you are hiring that are unqualified or underqualified if you're not training them. Nobody's getting help here. It's only hurting the entire situation. So once again, I do not think that this is racist. I think he is spot on in his point. So these are 2 examples that I agree with him. The Martin Luther King, I don't have the clip here, but he also stated that Martin Luther King was not a very good man. He was not the best role model. I agree with him. Once again, if you watch my Martin Luther King Jr. documentary, Martin Luther.
Let me hold on. Yeah, my camera off. Sorry, guys. So I want to respond to that. Me personally, besides all of the communist acts that Martin Luther King did, I mean, this guy was just a regular guy like everybody else. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys heard of the stories of him being with other women, other white women, I should say. And I'm not going to take nothing away from him being, a good speaker and things like that. But my thing is this: Black people used to have their own everything until people like Martin Luther King started basically asking white people or begging white people for approval, and you guys just need to accept us into your society and things like that. When we had our own buses, we had our own schools, we had everything we needed to have our own communities flourish. And that's just my opinion. If we would have kept our own, just like how the Italians still have their own businesses and pizza spots and joints and things like that, the Scottish people, the Irish people, the whites, the Asians, everybody, even the Africans, guys, the only people that don't have their own stores, like throughout all of the United States, that are flourishing is Black Americans. I'm just being honest. So I just think that, Martin Luther King was a good speaker, and I believe he meant right, but I just think he went about it the wrong way as far as just wanting to be accepted by everyone, and that includes white people.
King Jr. did some incredible things. But the more and more you learned about Martin Luther King, not just what racist white people in the government said about him, and the FBI, the CIA, we're talking about people that was around him, Abernathy, and other people that wrote memoirs and autobiographies. The stories that they gave themselves about Martin Luther King Jr. all painted the same narrative about who this man was behind closed doors. I agree with him. That was not rooted in racism. Boom. And for those of you that wonder, well, what's the big deal, Didi? I thought you said you felt like he was racist. We're getting there.
Right.
We're getting there.
And that's my thing. Like, just get to the point. Jesus. No disrespect.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
It's like no disrespect, but it's like if you feel like he was racist, just get to the part where you think he's racist.
Okay. I got not at it.
Percentage of America is Black? 13%, right? Yes. What percentage of the murders in America are committed by Black people?
I don't know the specific statistics.
Yes. It's
50%.
It's 60%. So maybe when you do 60% of the killings and you're 13% of America, more cops should be around your neighborhoods. You look at cops as if they're there to catch you and get you. We look at cops as they're there to.
And I hate that number because that number is so false. That number is so false. You say it's about Netanyahu? Oh, man. Okay, Mike. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that, okay? But we're talking about something else today. But my thing is this. You have people out here like Kamala Harris, right, who all of a sudden is now Black. Now she's a part of the 13%. You have Barack Obama claiming that he's Black, but he has a white mom, so he's not full sub-Saharan. You know who's Black? Tim Scott, Byron Donald, me, Didi here. We're Black. You seen it? No, I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, guys, but we are the actual Black people. Okay. Barack Obama isn't Black. Kamala Harris isn't Black. All these people who can identify as Black and then want to switch and identify as Indian or white whenever they feel like it. These people aren't Black. I can't just go and switch and, become a white man when I feel like it. You see what I'm saying here? So we have to stop saying 13 and 12% when it comes to the Black population. It's way, way, way lower than that, guys. Way lower than that. You have no idea how many people in this country, especially after the whole, Black, and if you're Black, then you're cool now type of, thing. You have no idea how many people in this country identify as African American now. And it's honestly, it's not offensive to me, but it's like, come on, like, what are you doing?
protect and serve and help us. So you have a population that dads are not around, that is very, very murderous, very violent, more likely to be involved in gangs. And we, as conservatives look at that and we say, wait a second, like the problem is within the community. The problem is not the government. The problem is not the culture. The problem is not the history. Instead, really what needs to happen is Black leadership, Black pastors, and Black dads need to go into the Black community and say, we're better than this. Cut the killing, cut the violence. Do you know the most, one more point.
Go ahead.
Who is, outside of heart disease and all that, what is the #1 killer of Black people in America?
I know about like diabetes, but
fellow Black people. A Black person is far more likely to be killed by another Black person than anything else. Black people are a greater threat to their own people than any other community.
That's true.
Now we can get into it. This is where my disagreements start to come in with Charlie Kirk, because first and foremost, Charlie Kirk, and I'm not looking at the comments as of right now, everybody, just so you can know, so I can focus. Charlie Kirk said a lot of truth in that clip as well. Let's get into the hypocrisies of Charlie Kirk. First and foremost, he said that it's not culture, it's not the government. Are you crazy? The government and culture absolutely plays a role. He also said it's not history.
Wait.
Excuse me?
Hold up. Did he say it wasn't culture? Let's go back. Because I might have missed it, but let's go back here.
Problem is not the government.
Okay.
Say, wait a second. Like the problem is within the community. The problem is not the government. The problem is not the culture. The problem is not the history. Instead, really what needs to happen is Black leadership, Black pastors, and Black dads need to go into the Black community.
Okay, I see what he's saying here. Now, this, I agree with DD. I definitely think that it's a culture problem within the Black community. Now, I didn't catch that part, but yeah. Now, I'm probably not going to necessarily agree with the government part as of today. Back in the day, for sure, when it comes to the history of Blacks in America, yeah, the government didn't really have our best interests. But nowadays, I don't really think that the government cares because, we do our own, destruction to ourselves. So, yeah, I don't agree with the government part as of today, but I definitely disagree with Charlie when it comes to him saying that it's not a culture problem. I mean, what do you think this is? Why do you think these people out here in these Black communities kill each other? It's because of the music. It's because of the degeneracy. It's because these people accept the bad behavior that is within itself a part of the culture, Charlie. So I would have to agree with DD on that. And I'm not going to be biased, guys. Like I said, look, I disagree and I agree. But if a person's right, they're right.
Culture, it's not the government. Are you crazy? The government and culture absolutely plays a role. He also said it's not history. Excuse me? If you don't know your history, you're not going to be able to fight the future, right? We all have heard that saying before. Absolutely, history plays a role. What's been done to the Black community, that doesn't absolve accountability.
Right.
Absolutely, accountability needs to be much higher in the Black community. Another thing I disagree with him with, he said 60%, 13% of the population committing 60% of the murders. That's not true. So let me play this clip because Charlie Kirk can't seem to get his numbers right. He doesn't even know exactly what the percentage is himself.
Or 13% of the population, that they commit 55% of the murders, 60%.
Is it 55%? Is it 50%? Or is it 60%? Let me give you all a little bit of history here. We're going to learn together so I can better help you all understand why statements like this is rooted in racism. Because Charlie Kirk is a very smart man, or was a very smart man. Charlie Kirk knows how to fact check himself. Charlie Kirk didn't care to. Because while I think, and I do honestly believe that he meant well, I think some of it is rooted in racism because of his hypocrisy when it comes to other communities that we'll get to here in a second. 13% of the population is not committing 60% or even 55% of the murders. That's a lie. What you're talking about is more specifically black male.
So I'm looking at the statistics here, guys, and it's actually not a lie. Actually, Charlie Kirk is absolutely correct. Total homicides, most recent year available. So I believe this is in 2023. And the FBI, well, but I remember he doesn't trust the FBI. He doesn't trust the government statistics and things like that. So we got to remember DD doesn't trust the FBI. But I'm looking here and it says, for example, past FBI tables show percentages around the mid 50s when black people committed homicides in America. Yep. So, like I said, guys, the mid 50s is around 55%. So, I mean, it's statistically, Charlie Kirk isn't wrong. Now, could he be talking about black men? I'm not seeing anything as far as them talking about black men in particular, but they did say that the numbers stop around the mid 50s. So that's around the 55 percentile. So I hate to admit it, DD, but Charlie Kirk is actually right on that. So let's continue. But we're going to be fact checking throughout the whole video, guys. I'm not trying to call them stupid or anything like that, guys, but that's what I'm saying. We can't be biased on anybody's side, okay?
Which make up 6 to 7%. Then when you consider the 55 to 60% of individuals or murders that's taking place, we first have to ask ourselves, what is considered Black America? Did you know that most biracial people are considered Black America?
Thank you, Didi. Thank you, bro. Oh my God. I was literally just saying that earlier in my video. These Barack Obamas, these biracial people, these people are not black. I'm telling you guys, if we really count actual black people in America, I promise to Christ, we're looking at max 5%. At max 5%, y'all. It's not 12. It's not 13. I'm not going to say 5%. I think that's a little too low, but I'm not going any higher than 8%. I'm sorry. Anything higher than 8, ridiculous.
If you have a white mom and a white...
Because you got to think about it, guys. The Jews, or them boys, but the Jewish community, they're only 2% in America. It's only 2% of people in America that are Jewish. And look at all of the revenue that they generate in America. It's crazy. That's why a lot of people are looking sideways. But let's continue. I'm not trying to sidetrack, guys. I digress. Let's continue.
Dad, but you identify as black and you go and murder someone, you are considered, wait for it, Black America, even though your mother is white. Shouldn't that go into both communities or mixed race community?
Right. Other. There you go.
For those of you that are going to say there is an option to identify as mixed race, that is not always the case.
But there is an option where you can put down other. That is always an option, and that's an undeniable fact. Yes, there aren't other, every single application isn't going to say you're mixed or something like that, but there is an option to put down other. Other genuinely meaning that you do not identify as any of these ethnic groups. You identify as another or other.
Did you know that there are some Africans that come over and they are also by default at times considered the so-called Black community? That is not the Black community, right? Also, did you know that even though there is a huge problem in the so-called black community, especially when it comes to gangs, especially when it comes to violence, that part he is spot on about. Here's the part that, once again, Charlie Kirk is not sharing. So-called black individuals are also majority of exonerees, as in to say, most people committed by crimes, black people make up a disproportionate amount of individuals that are later found out to be innocent.
One of the great challenges in this world is knowing enough about a subject to think you're right.
Check out this statistic here. It says black men are significantly overrepresented among exonerees, representing a disproportionate number of people free from wrongful convictions. And this data is from the National Registry of Exonerations. Why aren't we talking about that? That's kind of important, guys. It's kind of important, right? Let me get into one of the biggest hypocrisies I've noticed, and this is why I say it's rooted in a little bit of racism. Whenever Charlie Kirk has a clip, whether I deem it to be racist or not, and many of them I do not deem it to be racist, whenever he's talking about the black community, he says black community. He doesn't say the hood culture in the black community. He doesn't say the Democrats in the black community. He doesn't say the ratchet part of the black community. He doesn't say the rural part of the black community. He says the black community. And the thing is, I don't even have a problem with that. If he
Now here's where things are going to get really fishy. And this guy's very intelligent. Okay, this guy's very intelligent. But come on, dude. You have to understand what Charlie means when he say the black community. Yes, he's specifically not talking about men like you and me, DD. But here's the thing, man. If majority, and we're not going to say majority of black people are criminals, ratchet, and all of those things that he claimed, right? You know, in the hood and things like that. But here's the thing, man. When you have majority of the black community accepting the behavior and promote the behavior, then yes, the black community does contribute to the problem because it's not shunned. We do not shame these people. You don't have to be a 304 to basically accept 304 behavior, if that makes sense. You're still a part of the problem. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I think Didi is missing here. Okay, me and you could be articulate and we could be well dressed and we could be at the White House and this, that, and the third. But if we're pointing at King Von or if we're pointing at Chief Keef, like, yeah, kill that nigga. Yeah, you do this and you do that, bro. We're still a part of the problem. Look at LeBron James, right? He's one of the biggest examples that you could use. LeBron James plays basketball, which black people love. Okay? Black men love basketball. Black boys love basketball. And what does LeBron James do? Like, as far as his image goes, does he really like basically give an image that a black man should be articulate or a black man should basically have something going for himself other than playing basketball or things like that? No, he comes off as a cocky, arrogant, whiny crybaby that acts like he needs a bottle every 10 minutes. And we're talking millions of black and white men, young men and women, and these people look up to this type of guy, right? And I'm not trying to sidetrack. I know I'm getting a little sidetrack here, but that's what I'm saying, guys. the leaders in the black community, they don't have to be gangbanging. You can be LeBron James. You can literally be a billionaire and still be a part of the problem when it comes to black culture. And there are a lot of examples, but let's continue.
Wasn't a hypocrite. Whenever Charlie Kirk talks about the white community, wait, he doesn't talk about the white community. Whenever there's a mass shooter, most times they're white people. That's a fact. Charlie.
But he also talks about white women aborting their kids. I mean, he critiqued white women all the time and white men. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Whatever podcast, but that's actually how I started up on Charlie Kirk. He was critiquing 304 OnlyFans girls, and he was basically telling them, you need to find God. Like, he was definitely critiquing white people, bro. That's not true. I literally was watching them in real time critique 304s, bro. And they were white. All of them were white. All of them. None of them were black, if I'm being honest with you guys. So let's just continue, man. Golly. I don't know.
Kirk does not say, he does not tour the country. He does not go from state to state, campus to campus, talking about this crisis in the white community. No, he talks about the left. Now all of a sudden it matters what you identify as politically. It has nothing to do with your skin color. It's the left. Donald Trump's supposed or alleged shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania was not only a white kid, but he was registered as a Republican. When Charlie Kirk and others just like him covered that story, they didn't talk about his political affiliations. They just talked about, was he transgender? Did he care about the trans ideology? They tried to flip it. Ironically enough, the current kid right now who is accused of pow-powing Charlie Kirk, which I think we've done a good enough job on this channel to know that there's a very good chance this kid didn't do that. He's also a white kid, and his family seems to be Republican. They haven't talked about politics. They have not talked about race.
So I gotta fact check him again. I'm sorry, Didi, but you are just saying a lot of speculation that is just absolutely wrong. So Tyler Robinson has a public record, ladies and gentlemen. And according to those public records, it showed that Tyler Robinson is registered to vote in Utah because he is from Utah, but he is not affiliated with any political party, according to state records. Utah records show that he is a registered voter, but with no party affiliation. He reportedly did not vote in the two most recent general elections, bro. So he did not care about politics. He cared about ideology. You see what I'm saying? There's no evidence that Tyler Robinson was a Republican, dude. There is no evidence to substantiate that claim. I really hope he watches this video, bro, because you are really, really just saying a lot.
Back up. Charlie Kirk.
And let me just point this out. I'm not a big ass Charlie Kirk fan. Like, I honestly disagree with the whole Israel thing. Okay? But my thing is, we have to put out factual information, guys. Y'all already know how we do it on this channel over here. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care how many subscribers he got. I don't care how many viewers he get. If you're spewing out nonsense, if we're being honest, like with this Tyler Robinson kid being a Republican, when it's not true at all that he was I don't know if he's talking about that Trump photo of him wearing the Trump photo, but you do know that that was Photoshop, right? That photo wasn't real. So he had conservative parents, but we don't even know if they were Republicans. So they're just throwing out things that we don't even know to be true. Yes, Charlie was questioning Israel before he got shot. That is what makes it a little suspicious, guys. But that's a fact, though. Want to know why, Davi? that that's a fact because he went and did an interview with Megyn Kelly and others critiquing Israel, saying that you can't even talk about it. So yes, that is true. That is a fact what Davi is saying. This here is a fact. I'm not arguing this. But what I am arguing is that you guys are going to sit up here and say that this Tyler Robinson kid was a Republican and nope, and the school shooters, majority of school shooters, and they are all conservative. Like, dude, come on, man, that's irrelevant. Nobody should die over their political views or their skin color, what they believe religious wise. Nobody should die for that.
Was funded by who? Who was Charlie Kirk
Turning
funded
Point
by?
USA.
Before we even get to that, who is the, now we'll look at the chat. Who is the most vulnerable population in this country? Somebody answer this question for me. Who is the most vulnerable population in the world?
Vulnerable?
From demographic, from age to anything. Who is the most vulnerable population in our country?
Let me guess. Blacks?
Poor people, no.
Let me guess.
That's a good guess, but no.
Let me guess.
Who is the most vulnerable population? Blacks, no. Elderly. Elderly is a good guess. And maybe number two.
Babies?
Thank you. Children.
Babies, yeah.
Our children is and will always be the most vulnerable population in this country.
Of course.
Which I like to get into some statistics.
Yo,
Statistics.
I would love
Let's get into some statistics.
I would love to, man. So
this is coming from the United States Sentencing Commission. So I am backed by facts. Everything I'm about to say. Let's get into statistics number one. 93.5% of individuals sentenced for sexual abuse were men. 55% were white. 15% were Hispanic. 14% were.
Sorry, guys. I just want to see something here.
93. Elderly. Elderly is a good guess.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I'm looking for
blacks. No,
where he's getting his statistic from.
Which I like to get into some statistics.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys.
But guys, I'm America first.
Wait. Oh man, I'm screwing up. I'm sorry, guys. So I'm trying to see where he's getting his statistics from so I can fact check. But it's all over the place right now. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. And we are going to continue in just a second. I'm sorry. Did I go too far? Jesus. Okay. And okay, right there is where I was looking for. Now, he's getting this from the United States Sentencing Commission. Okay, United States Sentencing Commission. Okay, I didn't see what that was. So let's continue.
Into statistics number one. 93.5% of individuals sentenced for sexual abuse were men. 55% were white. 15% were Hispanic. 14% were black. 13% were Native Americans. 67% of individuals in cases involving production of inappropriate videos of children were white. 55% of individuals in cases involving travel for those inappropriate videos of children, or I should say travel for prohibited inappropriate contact.
See, okay, man. Okay, let me just use his line for a second. Are you trolling me right now, bro? Are you trolling me right now? Now, I'm not disputing anything that he's saying is wrong right now in this statement. But I thought about something that he said in the live stream that we did yesterday, right? Because he's using statistics that's coming from the United States Sentencing Commission, but they tend to do interactions and get majority of their statistics from the FBI, who Didi doesn't trust. And I'm looking here, and it says the FBI uses and interacts with the sentencing commissions, but does not like promote it or advertise it or anything like that. So I'm not saying that they like, promote each other. But the sentencing commission get their information from the FBI, which you don't trust. So that kind of contradicts what you're saying, bro, because when I was saying that Tyler Robinson in the text message and stuff was coming from the FBI, you said that those are the feds. Those are the feds. So is this technically considered the feds? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I just can't wrap my head around this dude. If we're gonna fact check or if we're gonna like make claims like this, you can't. And that's what I'm saying. This is the same day that we did this live. So you can't use facts that's coming from the sentencing commission and not know where they get their statistics from, which is the FBI, which you don't trust. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Let's just continue.
With children, we're white.
And like I said, guys, we fact checking throughout the whole video.
We just agreed that children is our most vulnerable population. Why is Charlie Kirk not talking about this crisis in the white community? This is his logic. I don't agree with the logic. I think there's good people and bad people. Why wasn't Charlie Kirk traveling the country talking about the crisis in the white community when it comes to their children being violated? Why? I'm not done. I came with facts. Y'all came with emotions.
Not really. But
individuals
facts,
and characteristics.
So
47% of individuals.
So facts only matter, but conspiracy trifles facts when we're going off conspiracy. When you're going off conspiracy, facts doesn't trifle conspiracy. But now facts matter. Now numbers matter. Ooh, what, man? Oh, Lord. Okay, man.
Sentenced for inappropriate videos of children were sentenced for trafficking those inappropriate videos. 43 or 44% for possessing those inappropriate videos and 8.8% for receiving those inappropriate videos. 99% were men. 77% were white. 12.8% were Hispanic. 5.8% were black. We just agreed that children is the most vulnerable population in our country. Why is Charlie Kirk not talking about the white crisis or the crisis in the white community? Why? Why? Hold on. Make sure we do this right. Let's make sure we do this right. Why? Can anybody explain that to me? Somebody said this is because that's because America is predominantly white. No. Brother, we talking about disproportionate. White people in America make about 58%. That's the entire population. What percentage of that are white men? It's probably a little less than half. Brother, this says 77%. That's overrepresentation, brother or sister. That's overrepresentation. Why isn't he talking?
Okay, but you know what? Let's just keep going.
Talking about the crisis in the white community. He never talked about that. Whenever he talked about somebody or something or a group of people that just so happened to be white, it had to do with their political affiliation. It had to do with their ideology. It had nothing to do with their skin color. That's called
But he's
hypocrisy.
he's not saying that it has anything to do with black people's skin color. See, okay, now he's finally back on the rails, okay, guys? But so now we're starting to see the connection that he's trying to piece together here. That's not what Charlie Kirk is saying at all, my guy. He never said that just because they have these problems, it's because they're black. What? Now look, that's what he literally just said. Because if he's going off of what he just said, if we're using his logic, he just said, and let me just go back. He said that he's not blaming this on their skin color. He's saying that Charlie Kirk is blaming this on their ideologies and their political beliefs, not their skin color, right? So I'm going to assume that he's speculating that Charlie Kirk is blaming the problems within the black community, or quote unquote black community, not because of our political beliefs, not because of our values or anything like that. It's just because we're black. Okay. Maybe I could be wrong, but let's just continue.
And nothing to do with their skin color. That's called hypocrisy. Be consistent.
When did he say that?
I'm not even done.
When did he say that?
Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, Lord.
You know.
Oh, Lord.
The child violator.
Oh, Lord.
Who was allegedly blackmailing politicians and celebrities to violate children. Once again, our most vulnerable population in this world. Children.
Now that I'm not arguing with. I'm not arguing with any of that.
They look to us to protect them. What did Charlie Kirk go on his program and say after Donald Trump, a white man? Again, we're not against white people. We're using his logic against him. Right? What did he say after Donald Trump was and continues to fumble the ball when it comes to the whole Jeffrey Epstein situation? He said, I'm going to trust my friends in the government. Huh? Who? You going to do what? Brother, they said they violated.
But he did critique Epstein in the end with Megyn Kelly and in other interviews, though. That's why it's suspicious. See, look, I even said this in my last live stream yesterday. He's directing his energy into all of the wrong things, man. I think he's doing it in good faith, but I think his energy is just directed to the wrong, not even just source. Because I honestly don't even know. Because when I'm asking him, what is the end goal of these conspiracies, or these questions that you have, like who would you question? He said he's going to basically question everybody who we feel like is involved. So yeah, that's very specific. But my thing is this: there is no end goal when it comes to this. Now, me personally, I push this all the time. If they should have their energy directed towards anything, it's the last thing that Charlie Kirk was doing before he got shot, and the offers that they made him when it comes to Turning Point USA. Benjamin Netanyahu, or not him, but I believe it was just the Israel lobbyists. They offered him $150 million, and as well as him to come to Israel. And I think he declined both offers. Now, that is something that we should be talking about. Should we be talking about Erica Kirk and her past? No, I don't think that's gonna help anybody. If I'm being honest with you, that's gonna honestly cause more division. If he is on the right, I mean, he's not really doing a good job to keeping us together. And my thing is this: we have to stay united in times of crisis like this, guys, because the left and them boys and people who don't have our best interests in America, they're going to always have a plan, okay? And what I mean by that is they're going to always be, look, on some evil time, okay? It's a spiritual war, in my opinion, guys.
Children. Nothing else should be talked about but this. Let's find out who was violating children. Many of them may be currently in our government. Let's do something about it. No, but instead he said, I'm going to trust my friends in the government. Excuse me? If Charlie Kirk was consistent.
But you just trusted a government statistic. Like, that's what I'm saying. You're trusting this statistic right now to your left. that's coming from the government. So this is all a contradictory within itself, my guy. You are literally trusting a government provided statistic right next to you. So which is it? Do you trust the government or not, bro? This could be fake, right? According to your logic, this could be fake. So do you trust the government or not, DD? I am literally so confused here. You're saying Charlie Kirk, and look, don't get me wrong. I don't trust the government worth a damn. Okay? But that's only when it comes to oligarchy and lobbyists and other people who have influence on our government. Do I trust our government to stay faithful to America alone? No. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But are there jobs that people have to do? Because if they don't do the job right, they will get fired or go to jail. And some of those jobs happen to be government affiliated jobs, such as keeping up statistics like these. Yes, I do believe that people will do their job accordingly to not get fired. Now, if we're talking about the people that are in positions of power, no, I do not trust all of them. But a person who's just reporting a statistic, who just basically wants to put food on the table, I mean, they have no power in my eyes. They're just doing their job. But he's coming off like he just don't trust the government like at all. So which is it?
When it came to all communities, why does Charlie Kirk not say there's a crisis in this country when it comes to white men in government, governmental corruption on a federal level?
Like, how does this statistic prove that some of these people that are 98% men, 77% white, 77.1% white, excuse me. How does this prove that these men, look, don't get me wrong, I'm not stupid, okay? I'm pretty sure that some of those men do have political affiliations. But, I mean, how do we know that this is majority? You know what I'm saying? We have to dive into more context when it comes to the 77.1% white men. We don't even, and that's what I'm saying, that's just 77.1% white. We don't even know how many of that percentage is men, because that's including men and women, because that just says white. But it does says 98.8% were men, but that's including all of these races: white, Hispanic, black, and other, like Asian, Indian, and Chinese or whatever. So that's 98%, including all of these cases right here, or all of these whatever you want to call it, ethnic groups. So I'm not understanding where he's coming from when it comes to the political people that are in positions of power that are doing this. That you will have to dive deeper in. Right? Is he including trans too?
State level, a local level, it's predominantly white men. Why aren't you talking about the overrepresentation of corruption historically in this country by white men? Why aren't you talking about that crisis? Why? Here's the biggest nail in the coffin.
Yeah, here's
the biggest nail.
Yeah, he's getting his statistics all wrong. It's 98.8 men throughout all of these ethnic groups, dude. That's not just within white men. Okay, look, 77.1 were white, but we don't know out of that were men, dude. That's women too. Okay, so I'm looking at the same numbers you guys are looking at. Okay, but let's just continue, man.
Nail in the coffin.
I don't think it. I mean, it's gonna be a crisis, but I mean, majority of people that live in America is white. So is it a crisis that majority of white people are dying from heart disease or diabetes? Is that a crisis? Is it a crisis that more white people die from old age in America, is that also a crisis? I don't understand. Like, more white people die in car accidents in America every year. Is that a crisis? Like, help me explain here. Like, I'm just using his logic, guys. I'm just using his logic. Okay? I'm just using his logic. But if this was a crisis, then you would have to say that the rest of these things are also crises as well.
Charlie Kirk, as smart as he is, I started off this video talking about what his classmates said that he allegedly believed during his high school years. We don't know if it's true. That's fine. Charlie Kirk was not a dumb man. In fact, he was extremely intelligent, probably well on his way to become president. Why did Charlie Kirk never talk about Hollywood?
Them boys.
Most of the executives and their ethnicity.
Them boys.
And all the propaganda that's being pushed onto the population. Why did Charlie Kirk never talk about that?
109 countries.
We're about to go deeper. Why did Charlie Kirk never talk about banking and the ludicrous, the egregious, what do you call it? Interest rates that's bankrupting this country, that is ruining families. Why did he never talk about the people that are in those positions? Why did he not talk about all the corruption, all the debauchery that's being pushed through media, all the lies that's being pushed through media? Why did Charlie Kirk never group all of them into a community and say we need to do something about them?
Well, my thing is, I agree with that. He really didn't critique a lot of people. Well, he critiqued a lot of people that were on the left, which I agree with.
Corn, C-O-R-N or P-O-R-N. When you look up the individuals who created P-O-R-N, when you look up the individuals, wait for it, what is it? When you look up the individuals that propagate P-O-R-N, what ethnic background do they come from? What religious background do most of them come from? Why did Charlie Kirk never talk about that crisis? Do you know what P-O-R-N does to the brain? What it does to the mind? That's truly a crisis.
Yeah.
The amount of young men out here with erectile dysfunction that are desensitized to sex because of P-O-R-N? Charlie Kirk didn't travel the country talking about those people. Why? Why? Be consistent. Why? Huh? I came to cook today. I came with stats. Y'all came with emotions. Y'all came with emotions. I came with facts. Why, Charlie Kirk? We not done.
He is funny, man.
We're going to let Mr. Tim Tebow tell us.
Yo.
Talk to us, Tim Tebow.
One. Offender type is biological fathers.
Oh,
but
white dads are the biggest child abusers in America. Okay, they also pay the most taxes. They also work the most jobs. Like, what? Oh my gosh, dude. This is what I don't understand here, man. First of all, even if this is true, I could kind of believe it because white people are the majority. So they kind of are the more of everything, okay? Besides committing murders, that would be black people. And we aren't even 12, quote unquote, 12% of the population. So my thing is this, ladies and gentlemen, I think if anything should be a crisis, it's black people murdering people here in America, especially when it comes to other blacks. That's the real crisis.
by far, it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. It is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. Like they're technical savvy, and I think that it is time that we call them out. Like that, we can't stand by and stand back. Like we have to stand up and say, not only are we not doing our job as men, it's actually the opposite. Instead of being defenders and protectors of our families, we're hurting and abusing. This is over the last 30 days, and every red dot on that map is at least one unique IP address of individuals downloading, sharing, distributing child abuse and rape images under the age of 12.
Wow.
And there's over 111,000 of them just in the US of the last 30 days.
Coast going crazy. The East Coast is going crazy. Let me look at that again. That looks crazy, dude. And look at California. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Look right there in the southeast. Guys. Pathetic. These people deserve, I ain't gonna say it. That's disgusting.
To life, so much of the evil that we're trying to face, and people will say, well, that's just over there and it's in those countries and it's all of those places, and it's not. Sean, it's right here in our backyard. It is right here, and out of everyone. And some people will say, okay, well they're just downloading and sharing it and distributing it, but they're not. 55 to 85% are also hands-on offenders, and your average offender has 13 victims in their lifetime. 13 victims. Every one of those red dots is there's a boy or girl that is suffering on the other end of what they're sharing, downloading, or distributing.
Charlie Kirk, why weren't you talking about the crisis, bro?
Because that's all people. That's men and women doing that, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, and or other. That's not all white men. I'm being honest with you guys. I hate to sound like this, but you guys already know I'm pretty based on this channel. But really, it's white women, bro. Y'all are so sleep on white women. It's honestly sick. It is sick how you guys think that white women are the literal angels in this world. You know what? Since he wants stats, right? If we're being honest, women actually abuse children more, and they abuse elderly people more. It's not men, DD. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't even know why you're going off the rails again, but still, I have to fact check you on that. Majority of people who abuse kids, it's not men, bruh. I hate to break it to you, but it's not men. It's women. They abuse elderly people, and they abuse children more, and they abuse women more. Women, yes, believe it. Women abuse women more than men in America and Western civilization. What are you talking about, Dee? If you are red pill, and if you are conservative, and if you are quote unquote, one of the guys that claim that you know these things, then you should know that women can incite the most unspeakable evil on this planet, bro. Honestly, I think this is why America is so fucked. I think we need to appeal the 19th. I'ma just be honest. We got a $2 super chat from Lord Slug, man. He said Tim's sounds like a white apologist. Man, look, bro. I'm just gonna keep it a stack. It's literally women, dude. it's not men doing all of these heinous acts. They just don't tell you that statistic because they want you to think that women are so they have this halo effect, especially white women. Now, I'm not saying I don't love white women, okay? But they have this halo effect in America, guys. And they've had it for centuries. So let's just continue. But I just have to fact check him again. I hate to break it to you, bro. It's not white men. It's honestly not men at all.
We are consistent on this channel. We don't just hold black people accountable. We hold everybody accountable. Charlie Kirk never talked about this. Charlie Kirk never said that there's a crisis in the white community. Whenever he talked about white people, he made it about the left. They're a leftist. They're LGBTQ weirdo, right? They're Muslim. He talked about their political stance or their religious stance. What y'all got for me? I came with facts. We hold everybody accountable. Facts. But I'm not done. I said, who funded Charlie Kirk? Before we collectively answer the question.
Come on, bro. Everybody know who funded Charlie Kirk. Turning Point USA in Israel, bro. Move on. Like, we know this already. Well, the people who, who've been following though.
That we all know. I want you all to watch this video with me.
You're not, like cheering on. You're not anti-Israel. You don't wish them harm. You're not, like cheering on Iran.
No, I support Israel. I think they're our ally. I want them.
But you would be called an anti-Semite by some people for saying this.
And I think that's ridiculous. I don't hate Jews because I think a nation should defend themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I feel like it's becoming like the word racism. Like we just disagree with them, so we just have to call them a name. I don't think they're actually anti-Semitic. I think
there you go.
People just can't agree with them, and they can't prove.
And honestly, guys, that's signs of low IQ. If you have to insult somebody and you can't back your claim, and if you can't present facts, and you just basically have to talk about somebody and call them out of your name, I'm sorry to say it, but you're just not an intelligent person. I hate to break it to you.
Them wrong, so they just throw a word out and be like, you're anti-Semitic because you think that we should stop sending our money there.
Something that I see amongst the people I'm around, I do see more like general disdain towards, just being honest, Jewish people. That's correct. Just because they're constantly being told that you hate Jews, and it's like, fine, if you're gonna say I hate Jews over and over and over again, like if I'm gonna be convicted of the crime, I might as well do the crime. I fear the same thing happens with all the talk of race. The more we talk about it, the more we bring it up, the more.
Guys, I know that the audio is low. There's nothing I can do about it now. This is directly from the source, so I apologize about that. Just listen as best as you can, but I'm going to summarize it once the clip is ended. This clip right here is very important. There's a reason why I'm playing this. It 100% shows Charlie Kirk's hypocrisy, despite it appearing as if he's trying to come off as neutral.
Racism actually happened.
This is like, I try to tell, thank you for saying this. Like, because like, I try to tell these people and they're like, we must get more aggressive. And so like, let me ask a
pause. Did y'all hear what he just said? So first and foremost, what you're watching right now is what many would consider as a think tank, almost like a workshop, right? Almost like a therapy session, right? He's convened about maybe 15 to 25 mostly white, conservative, maybe a couple of liberals in there, to get their opinions on Israel, the Israel topic. This interview I have been calling for easily the past month and a half, damage control. Because Charlie Kirk, my friends, was in a very interesting position. Most people in this country can see the double standards and the hypocrisy when it comes to Israel, when it comes to these Jewish PACs, donors, right? Lobbying groups. There is 100% a double standard. Charlie Kirk is funded by a lot of was funded by a lot of pro-Israel entities and organizations. So Charlie Kirk was facing a lot of heat from his own base because they said, what are you doing, bro? You're showing favoritism. You're doing the very thing that you said other communities shouldn't get, which is favoritism. You're showing a double standard, bro. We should be America first, not Israel first. So he created this video with this think tank of students, and he's trying to, almost acquiesce some of the thoughts that many people had already. This was Charlie Kirk's pathetic attempt to try to come off as if he is America first. Keep watching. Because he just said, I tried to tell them this. Who is he talking about? He's talking about his funders. This video is important because how many think tanks did Charlie Kirk host about any other group? He didn't. But he did when it came to anti-Semitism against Jewish people. That's called favoritism. Why was he doing this? Because he was funded by a lot of pro-Israel, pro-Jewish organizations. Black people don't fund him. We ain't got the money to.
But why aren't we talking about him in his last days critiquing Israel? Why are we so fixated on him talking about him basically wanting to have more pro-Israel rhetoric with Turning Point USA with a bunch of, honestly, I don't even think these are all white people, but I said that looked like a Filipino guy actually right next to him. But my thing is, if we know that timeline matters, right? And around this time, yes, he probably was still very big pro-Israel or whatever you want to call it. But during his last days, like I said, he was definitely critiquing Israel. I've seen many interviews of him saying that you can't even talk about the Israelis and things like that. So it's like, we're not going to sit up here and discredit that. I'm not going to take that away from Charlie because, it came out of his own mouth. Now, he want to use words that's coming out of Charlie's mouth. Why can't we play videos of, let's just play the Megyn Kelly interview. Why can't we do that?
To fund him. We ain't got no money. So he hosted this to try to cow to them. Look, the conversations that was happening behind the scenes, the arguments he was having, allegedly. This was his attempt to say, look, I'm not anti-Semitic, but guys, I'm America first. He was a hypocrite. He never talked about that community. So this was his best attempt to do so.
Build a website.
Question. If we were to remove, like if people said what Tucker said is anti-Semitic, I don't hold that view. But it's like a lot of people on Twitter are like calling us out and like, whatever. That's not going to happen. But if we were to cancel Tucker, would anti-Semitism increase or decrease?
I think increase because that means any supporter of Tucker Carlson's statement therefore makes them anti-Semites.
Still, an association, 100%.
Exactly.
But the binary that's presented is that if you don't passionately talk about it, you are a hater. That's probably destructive for everybody involved. So for me, I'm trying to find this new path, which is I love Israel. I visited there. My wife and I had the best experiences ever. I saw where Jesus rose from the dead and he walked on water. But also I'm an American and I represent a generation that can't afford anything and that we are like flooded with illegals and no one speaks English and our hospitals are clogged. I think we need to have the prudence to reject the Jew hate. Like, okay, we're not going to put up with that. That's dumb. But also, if you call everyone an anti-Semite, if they don't take a puritanical view of the Netanyahu government, then I think it's bad for everybody.
Yeah, it's bad for everybody. But let me add on here. Here's more proof that Charlie Kirk was a hypocrite when it came to the Jewish community. This think tank, do you know when this took place? In the last 2 months. Okay. What's your point, Didi? Charlie Kirk has been in politics, or at least on the mainstream level for the most part, give or take, since 2013, 2014. Why is he just now speaking out against the problems that he had with certain Jewish groups? Why? Why did it take him 11 years? Because they were funding him.
So are you gonna focus on how long it took, or are you gonna focus on the fact that he did it? Have you guys ever heard of the term "it's better late than never"? I'm pretty sure. Okay, this happened 2 months ago. Okay, he's been in politics since 2013. What is your point? I don't get the point here. Okay, everybody knows that Israel has a lot of people by their balls. Okay, we know that already. But it takes guts for anyone that have any status here in America, because we all know that the lobbyists are always connected with people with status here in the West. It takes guts for someone to come out and actually speak up and speak out about Israel. You see what I'm saying? Now, granted, it took him years, but eventually he did it. So what's the problem? That's what I'm saying. I think his energy is just directed towards the wrong things. Your energy is directed on how long it took him, rather than the fact that him actually doing it finally. But I don't know.
But when it came to the black community, even though he said a lot of things that were true, he recklessly talked about it a bunch of times without a care in the world, because they're not funding him. There were no consequences.
Yeah, USS Liberty. Yeah, the Israelis attacked us and killed our soldiers. Yep. You cooking that, Dabby. But yeah, that's really not all we need to know about how Israel really is. Read the Talmud. That should tell you how Israel really is. Just read the Talmud.
Consequences for it. He was being funded to do it. But when it came to the Jewish community, or at least the elite part of the Jewish community, he never talked about the issues in that community. Hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You can do it to the community. The black population ranks at the bottom of just about every category.
Okay, man, but here's the thing. I'd rather someone take my money than kill me. I think, and I'm so tired of people talking about money this, money that, money here, money there, money everywhere. This just lets me know that I'm not saying this is DD, but that just goes to show that these people are just materialistic. They care about fleshly things. And that's not going to matter when you're dead. Okay? So, yes, would I prioritize black people dying more than what money being taken out of our pockets? Yes. I can't make money if I'm dead, dude. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of people are forgetting that death means there is no more return. There's no more breath. You can't eat, sleep. The people that you love are gone. That means it's lights out, bro. You're checking out. I want to be able to breathe here on this earth, in this land, okay? And I don't want to be looking over my shoulder, seeing if someone's going to shoot me in the back of the damn head just because I'm walking to the damn store in the wrong neighborhood. I don't want to live like that.
We already know we in a terrible position. And I make sure I remind us every week with a video. We pushing out evil. Who's funding the evil? Huh? Who's funding the evil? Who's supporting the evil? Who's funding the leftist Marxist organizations and agendas? You're not going to talk about that? In fairness to Charlie Kirk, he did.
I'm sure, bro, he bring up George Soros all the time. What are you talking about, DD? He definitely brings up who funds all of this stuff. It's George Soros. And just now learning, also Barack Obama. He funds this stuff too.
Talk about that right before he was assassinated. You still get points for doing it. But it took you 11 years to do it.
but he still did it, bro. And that's the thing. I'm not saying we're Jesus Christ, but if you Christ-like, and if someone says, "Oh, it took me 3 years to give you your money back, and I know you probably thought that I stole it, but I was just in a bad spot, and then I ended up getting arrested, and there's that. So here's your $5,000 back." Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna take my money, but I'm not going to forgive you for going to jail and you having all of these things happen to you because it only took you 3 years to give me my money back. You see what I'm saying? Okay, what if Jesus was like, it only took you 10 years to repent. So I'm not gonna, you can't get into the kingdom of heaven because it only took you 10 years to repent to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So you can't get into heaven now. Like, why are you thinking like that? He did it. That's all that matters.
Nick Fuentes has been talking about a lot of this stuff for the longest. Charlie Kirk, as intelligent as you are, you don't see any of it? Hypocrite.
He did, though.
How many of you guys think when a lawmaker and a man I respect like Ted Cruz uses the Bible to justify aid to Israel, doesn't even know the verse, do you guys think that's like not the best way to approach this?
Once again, if you see what Charlie Kirk is doing, Charlie Kirk was a coward for this. Instead of just coming flat out, this is before he came out and started saying all the stuff he was saying. He tried to use these students as beards, if you will, as an excuse to be able to say what he was really thinking. When it came to the Black community or the Muslim community, and I'm a follower of Jesus, I don't believe that Jesus was just a prophet. Jesus Christ was Lord, is Lord in flesh. However, the way he disproportionately attacked the Muslim community in America was insane. It was clear that he was being funded to do it. That's hypocrisy, bro. He said that Muslims were ruining this country. What are you talking about? How? I would argue that a lot of the people that was funding you is helping ruin this country.
I agree.
What are you talking about, dude?
I agree.
He's asking these students questions that he believes.
I'm going to have to agree with that. I don't think Muslims are a bigger problem than the Jewish oligarchy and these lobbyists here in our country. I think these people just really come here to work and, run gas stations and things like that. Not trying to be racist or anything like that, but hey.
That he was thinking, but he was too much of a coward to say it because he would lose a lot of his funding. Right?
Raise your hand. Okay.
I think Ted Cruz is Genesis 12:3. I think a lot of people see that as off-putting when you look at the New Testament.
Why?
Because I think a lot of people, they look especially at the writings of Paul, where he talks about how the new flesh is not the same as the people in the old covenant. The new flesh is everybody, is everyone's included.
Talking about Romans 9.
Yes. Romans 6, yeah.
Are you Catholic?
Converting a Catholic from Judaism.
This is my next. Oh, from Judaism?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you're you're ethnically Jewish.
Ethnically Jewish, yes.
And you have concerns about AIPAC.
Yes, I do.
I'm told that by some people that if I criticize AIPAC, I'm anti-Semitic.
I think it's ridiculous. Yeah. I feel like it's great to have a concern for your country.
Do you think that that AIPAC represents
Peter Thiel?
Again, I'm not saying I believe this, but I think this is what you're saying, that it represents a kind of cutting in line of prioritization away from the American people.
Yes.
Did y'all catch what he just did? Once again, he was a coward. He was using these students to try to speak through them. The kid didn't even get to say much. And Charlie Kirk goes, well, I think this is what you're saying. This isn't necessarily what I believe. But it seems that AIPAC, which is 100% a Jewish lobby, it's a Jewish lobby, it's an Israel lobby. He said, it seems that you're saying that this is sort of a way to cut in front of the line, in front of course, that's what it is. Everybody knows that's what it is. They get special treatment. We all know that as Americans. We don't like it. Charlie Kirk pretending like he didn't see it, like he don't know that, like he don't understand that. Hypocrisy. Because they were funding him. That's hypocrisy. And then he said that he has a lot of respect for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz that's been selling this country short for Israel. Do you know that there are currently 250 legislators, congressional members that's currently in Israel for the, 50 states, one Israel tour? They all touching, kissing the wall. What are we doing?
Yeah.
We're in America.
Right. I agree.
Charlie Kirk turned a blind eye to it for more than a decade. But he had no problems talking about the other communities that's already struggling in this country.
Okay, but out of those 250, how many of those came out of critique Israel? Because Charlie did. Charlie came out of critique Israel in end times. So
would you guys say that's a fair summary? Meaning that, like, okay, we vote, we're citizens, but a separate group gets higher priority because of whatever reasons. You look like you want to chime in.
That the entirety of the idea of a PAC is to represent a group, but the fact that we're allowing a group that doesn't even represent American interests to influence the people who are supposed to be representing us, I have a huge problem with. And that's why I've said this before, and a lot of people don't like when I say it. I actually think there's probably like 20 representatives between Senate and House who I think are actually fully doing the work of the American people.
I agree. For those of you that were not able to hear that because this audio sucks, and I do apologize for that once again, this kid just said he honestly believes that there are only 20 congressional members, current congressional members, out of whatever 300, however many odd number of congressional seats there are. He said he believes there's only 20 of them that's actually doing work for the American people. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. That means there are hundreds that are not. What country do you think they have an allegiance to?
It's not, dude.
Everybody sees it.
Okay, man. Y'all already know that I critique them boys a lot, but it's not just Israel, dude. Actually, we give more money to Ukraine. But it's Ukrainian lobbies. It's the CCP, the China Communist Parties, or the Chinese lobbyists, or whatever you want to call it, them as well. You also have the Russian lobbyists. You have people who have their loyalty to a whole lot of countries. When it comes to France, you have the French, the France lobby. I mean, you even have people that are in Qatar, Iranians, all over the world, guys, all over the world. These people are in our pockets. So it's not just Israel, okay? It's Ukraine, it's China, it's Iran, it's Qatar, it's a lot of countries. It's France, UK, Britain.
If you say it, you're told that you're anti-Semitic.
I want to get them all out.
Yeah, I saw that Candace Owens said this. I don't know if I fully believe her. I don't agree with her on Catholicism. I'm deeply confused about that with her. It's one of the very few things I don't agree with when it comes to Candace Owens. But yeah.
And don't have the interests of some group holding their sway.
But we hear that lots of other countries also are lobbying. Do you think, I mean, that you probably don't know the names of those countries, but it's happening. Does that upset you equally, or is AIPAC just get all the press because it's so top of mind?
If those other ones are doing the same thing, of course. I do not think that other countries should be telling us how to spend, the telling our representatives and people who are here to represent all of us that they should be focusing outside of the United States. America first.
So I see this comment here, and I think it's really, really interesting. She says, Didi, I had a lot of respect for you and what you're doing, but this is not good timing. And well, I agree with half of what she said. I still got respect for Didi. Don't get me wrong, but I do have to agree with this other half of her statement saying that what you're doing, this is not good timing. I would definitely have to agree 1,000%. We have to let this family grieve. and I'm regarding to the Kirk family, and talking about his wife, talking about her past and all this and the third after her husband just died. I just honestly think it's just hitting below the belt. It's just really scummy, and I just can't respect it. I just can't respect it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Now I respect him, but when it comes to what he's doing as far as with Erica Kirk, because I asked him, I'm like, why do you have like this stuff can't wait? And he's like, no, it can't wait. If there's evidence out there, we need to get on it now. Okay, so you care more about finding the shooter and the killer more than his actual wife. Granted.
Thank you.
America first. I agree. All right, let me hey everybody, I want y'all to read this comment right here. Katie Michelle says, Didi, I had a lot of respect for you and what you're doing, but this is not good timing. Yeah, this is perfect timing because he's trending. I've given his props.
See, man. See, look, I'm not gonna not call that out, bro. Who cares if it's trending, my dude? Who cares? All of these people are doing is just money grubbing and monetizing the situation. Who cares if it's trending? Okay, so falling off of cliffs for what, $2.5 gajillion is trending, but you only have a 20% chance of living. So that means you're gonna do it? You have a 20% chance of survival rate. Oh, but it's trending. It's trending though. So we have to do it because it's trending, guys. That is a ridiculous statement, man. That shit is real scummy, man. I'm not gonna lie. And it's like you basically saying you're on this story or on this case just because everybody else is doing it. I don't want to call you a follower, bro, but it's like that's kind of how it's coming off.
Where it's due. He talked about Jesus Christ. I respect that. Don't tell me you lose. Well, you can tell me whatever you want. You lost respect for me or whatever. I don't care. I'm telling the truth. If you lose respect for me because I lied about something, you are absolutely right for doing that. That's not what happened here.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm telling the truth. Whether you have respect for me or not, my content is still going to be my content. I got some bangers coming. I'm not going to stop telling the truth because your feelings are hurt because I said something about somebody, which, by the way, I said about him when he was here. I said it about him when he was here. But if I say something about a man, I should be able to back it up with evidence. And I did in this video. He was a hypocrite. Let's get to some super chats. Shout out to Brown Sugar and Curls. Slightly off topic, but Didi, you watch the Charlie Kirk Memorial. His wife supposedly had on a Freemason ring. I love your channel, by the way, especially.
My fault, guys. I just want to.
In that screen was an island. That island is called Goat Island.
Because I'm trying to see, like, I'm interested in the rest of this.
I sent him the link. Are you going to join or what?
Oh, snap. He talking to somebody?
Was very disingenuous with his conversation. And because I do deem him as an intellectual, very well-spoken guy, seemed to be very well researched, I would like to believe that everything that you just stated, he was aware of. But the reason why I decided to start off the clip or this video with those clips to give them the benefit of the doubt is so that people, not like you, Bianca, who can see past the pale, you're able to point out those sort of deals. I was trying to eliminate anybody who was already in my comment section wanting to state simply because Charlie Kirk said critical things about the Black community altogether, that made him racist. Now, if that is your position, I'm not on the same side with you. I think there is a way with full context that you can hold a community accountable while being honest or having, good faith, coming from a good faith stance. I think Charlie Kirk, like his Martin Luther King Jr. statement, would you agree with his Martin Luther King Jr. statement? Have you heard it? Are you there? Can you all still hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear the question I asked you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So this is a deflection strategy, which I call white fragility. You ask a question and you give a sleight of hand, and you don't really address the core meat of the issue. So when you bring up stuff like Martin Luther King, well, he was a puppet.
Well, hold on.
He was a puppet.
He definitely was.
Because I don't want you to do the same thing that you're accusing me of doing.
He was, man.
You just said I
that lady
engaged
already
in that. I want you to tell me how I did that.
No, I didn't say you engaged in that.
Okay.
I'm saying that white fragility, this is what their problem is and why they are deceived and delusional and buy into this illusion is because the sleight of hand, their deflection, right? So they bring up these issues and points and we go, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Black people, this, and that, and we need to take accountability. But that's like burning down somebody's house and then persecuting the person for being homeless after you burned the house down. It doesn't make sense. How do you try to make somebody take accountability for something when you're the main person who is the reason why they're in the position that they're in?
Right.
And now don't take me wrong. Okay, I'm not saying Black people shouldn't take accountability of their actions.
And it's accepted in the Black community. You don't have to be a robber to promote people getting robbed. You want to know how you're promoting it by not indulging in it? Oh, I'm not about to snitch. I'm not about to tell. I don't know, officer. I knows nothing, officer. I knows nothing, officer. I ain't seens nothing. And that's the problem. That is within itself ultimately the problem. And I just can't wrap my head around how people aren't bringing that up. It's literally what's being accepted in the Black community, and that's crime and degeneracy. Come on, man.
Right? We have the information. We know that this is a setup. And if anybody knew their true identity, a Black person of the transatlantic slave trade, you are a Hebrew Israelite. You are the real Jew, okay? Not the Ashkenazi Jews who are Khazars, who are Turkish Mongols. So when you know that you fit these Deuteronomy 28 curses, you know why it's set up the way it is, okay? So my whole point to this whole argument is you can't focus on the little bits of facts and so-called perverted truth that he provides without addressing the root core. Because when you do that, you then have a sleight of hand to look at the people as, oh, you're the problem, when they're the actual victims.
I agree with you. I would say though, my issue, like, obviously I'm just not meeting you for the first time and I'm speaking with you. But if most people in our community thought this deep into things or was this well-rounded with their perspective, I'm with you. You have no pushback from me. But what you tend to find is complete victimization, right? And it almost creates this culture where there's no accountability because such and such did such and such to us in our community.
I can't agree with you.
No?
Because no, I don't agree that we have a culture of people who don't take accountability. I think we have a culture of people who are tired from enduring centuries of abuse and oppression. Now, you do have that group of segment, and you spoke about this before, the ratchet, the ghetto, the what have you, right? But that's not the majority. Yes, but it's not the majority in the way that is always spinned off in media.
But majority promote it. They promote it. You don't have to indulge in it to promote it. You don't have to do crack. But if you're promoting crack on your YouTube channel saying, yeah, crack is so good, guys, worship crack or you're whack. If you're doing that, then you're kind of part of the problem if people are doing crack.
Yeah, is that this is the majority and it's not. It's not. So that's my problem is, yeah, do we have those certain people in our community? Yes, we do. And that's what they highlight. They have the failure reel for Black people, but when it's white people who fail, when it's white people who have bankruptcy.
That's what we highlight. That's not what they highlight. That's what we highlight. We highlight that stuff in the Black community. So what the hell? So my thing is this. Are these people making us post all of these crazy things on the internet? Come on, man.
See, when it's white people who do X, Y, and Z, they don't have that same real playing. But when it's Black people, it's exploited to no degree. So my whole argument is, yes, do we take accountability? Yes, we should. Our Black leaders in churches, they are 501c3. You government led. So you're not teaching the people what they need to know. You caught up in religion and not relationship with your creator, the Most High Yah. So all these things are a symptom of the actual problem, which is the synagogue of Satan, the Revelation 2:9ers.
I'm with you. I agree. I agree mostly, but you and I probably would just not agree on the accountability piece because I think partially what you're saying, or maybe the people that you know, take accountability, but it's just not true. There's so many of us that are refusing to take accountability. And it's not just the ratchets. It's
man, State Farm made $104 billion. Progressive made $61 billion. You think that's by accident? Look,
I see it all the time on my channel, especially in my DMs. People look at the fact that a lot of my videos, actually, I don't want to digress too much from the original point. So actually, I'm going to cut that and I'm going to just ask you this. Is your position that Charlie Kirk was a full-blown racist in his rhetoric?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And I will not back down from that. Many of his dog whistles, many of his key points that he mentioned is rooted in racism. And anybody that understands history, anybody who understands identity, anyone who understands that white people originated, they are a mutation, they are a recessive gene of Black people. All indigenous people of this world are Black. And so until you understand that the white people wasn't created until after Bacon's rebellion, and you know that history, then you realize where this white supremacy and these elitist ideas come from.
Interesting. Is there anybody, do you consider yourself as conservative? Neither liberal, anything?
I don't consider myself other than a child of the Most High Yah. That's it.
Right.
I don't play politics because the only person that's king is Yeshua HaMashiach. That's it. Everything else is a different kingdom. So I come from that standpoint. I don't play politics because they all are on the same bird. The right and the left come from the same bird. Mm-hmm. And they play good cop, bad cop. And they manipulate the crowd. It's an agenda. And we give consent over to an agenda because people buy into the illusion and the lie that's being...
So I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm going to skip this part because this lady sounds racist as hell. I'm going to just be honest with you. So I'm guessing Didi with all the smoke on this live because I'm going to assume he's debating someone else. Bro, come on, man. Why you got these damn worms just squiggling out your damn head? But all right, guys.
I do know that you sent me something earlier. What is the position that you have on Charlie Kirk that you disagree with?
I think Charlie was inadvertently racist.
Inadvertently?
Yeah.
Say more. Totally.
So I feel like his perspective on the African American community has a lot to do with the fact that he had a lack of knowledge on our history. And I think people are expecting too much of him to know about our culture's history, our community's history, in its entirety. Like with the last speaker that was just up here, she was just saying like his perspective when it came to the Civil Rights Act. There were certain things that she felt like he didn't touch on or that he didn't speak about. And I think it's requiring too much of somebody, especially someone that was 31 years old who just literally just passed away. There are certain things that I found out much later at a time where I'm 40. I don't look 40.
Yeah, you don't look 40.
No. And so I think his outlook on our community, it had a lot to do with sort of just almost like a bottleneck of him growing up in the environment he grew up in, his socioeconomic environment at home. And so I feel like that, that's why I didn't harbor too much resentment towards him.
Yeah, but see, my video today was arguing or proving the point, or trying to make my case as to why I believe that he was racist. Because I've made the statement before, telling the language I've used is stating, I believe that Charlie Kirk said many things that had racist implications and that had racist undertones. And I guess that's another fancy way of saying he was inadvertently racist at times. So similar to what you're saying. So it sounds like you agree with my point. But I guess where I would like your thoughts is the statements that he was making. Bianca was very eloquently, I might add, stating why she believed everything he said was racist. That's not my position. Do you think everything that he said, maybe the clips, we can keep it to the clips that I shared or talked about in this live, do you think that was rooted in racism, all of them? Because, and before you answer, is being ignorant about something necessarily means that you're being racist?
No, I don't feel like being ignorant about a subject is necessarily being racist. I don't believe that at all. I do think not all of his clips he was being racist, but he has a propensity of being arrogant. And I think that kind of comes with having a platform and having a voice that sometimes when his company was a $500 million company. When you're sitting up there and you're having people come to you, you can get a sense of entitlement to accept and reject people. So I think he had a massive ego issue as far as like not exhibiting equal humility while proposing to be Christian at the same time. He's talking about God and Jesus, but be very arrogant in his delivery of what he was trying to get across. So there was a dismissiveness that he always had. But what I grew to learn is that my perspective is I felt like he was somebody that was figuring things out, as most of us do, as we grow.
That's what I was saying.
Develop through time.
Right.
And I think he was getting too close towards the sun on a certain subject because his
Icarus. He's referring to the myth of Icarus. His pops made him some wings. Icarus was feeling himself a little too much. Flew too close to the sun. He forgot that his wings was fake, guys. So the wings actually burnt up and he fell to the ground and plummeted to his death. And I think that's what Didi isn't trying to give Charlie Kirk. Now, I have to agree with this guy. I don't know what his name is, but the guy in the blue, he definitely has a point when it comes to Charlie Kirk flying too close to the sun about a particular, group. I'm not going to keep saying them because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to spam it. But we can't talk about these things because we're either going to get canceled, we're going to get harassed, and or worse, maybe even unalived.
Platform was being financed by a certain community.
By them boys.
Yeah, by them boys. So, and I also feel like personally, man, I think something that's really holding us back, I would say probably the entire America as a whole, the country, I feel like what's holding us back is the idea and concept behind race. Because I think a lot of people don't understand race is a made-up caste system that was invented in Germany in 1779 by a guy named Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. He was a German anthropologist. He's also the inventor of the word Caucasian, because in his theory, he believed people from the Caucasus Mountains, Europeans derived from the Caucasus Mountains, but the only group of people that are actually Caucasian would be Khazars, because Khazars are from the Caucasus Mountains. And the last speaker just mentioned something about Khazar Ashkenazi Jews. They're from the Caucasus and literally over Ukraine near the Volga River. That's where they're derived from, the Khazarian Empire. So, but Europeans, most British are Anglo-Saxons. They're not Caucasians, but in verbiage, we'll just call everybody Caucasian during the conversation. And he came up with the theory of 5 races on Earth. And from my understanding, the reason why he came up with this theory in 1779 was the Roman Catholic Church had found out, some of the people that were involved in the Roman Catholic Church, they found out about what was called papal dum divarsis. And papal dum divarsis was exposing, it was a Roman Catholic papal that exposed that the Roman Catholic Church had declared war on former Berbers, Sacrians, and Moors. Essentially, papal dum divarsis was the driving force for the transatlantic slave trade. And this is when Rome started kicking out the Moors out of Spain.
And the transatlantic slave trade,
Portugal.
Hold up.
And
the transatlantic slave trade was and funded by them boys, guys. I just want to throw that out there.
They were looking to go into Africa at the time because Europe had a massive sugarcane addiction. They had a massive sugarcane addiction at the time. And I'll try to summarize it, try to make it quick, but pretty much the Knights Templar and the Rome's Eastern Byzantine Empire, they lost Constantinople in 1455 to the Ottoman Turks. And when they lost Constantinople, Rome was pissed because it was Mehdi the Conqueror who ended up declaring himself the new Caesar, the new Rome of the speak, if I could speak.
We are Yarders.
Speak.
Africa. And it will go in detail as to how the Blacks in America.
Okay, guys. So I wanted to fast forward. I think we're coming towards the end here, and I think we're just gonna let this play out. I think the lady ended up joining back the crazy lady. So we're gonna actually just let that play out.
DI, did it make you more pro DI or less?
It made me against it because I saw this wanted to be a strong victim, and
I agree.
Behind group identity, the two people that perfected group identity, that would be Edward Bernays, who is the father of propaganda, and Sigmund Freud, who's the father of psychology. They're both cousins.
Do you watch Candace Owens?
Yeah, I watch Candace. I watch it here and there. Yeah, I definitely do. Definitely do. And
she speaks about the Frankists and she speaks about Sigmund Freud.
But the way she found out about it is similar to how I found out about it doing my own research. And then she started talking about it. So I didn't find out about Frankists through her. I found out about it on my own, just doing my own research, and came across it by accident. And then I was surprised seeing her speaking about it when she had gotten fired from the Daily Wire and she came back. I initially didn't like Candace. I would say probably up until maybe around 2020, probably when she started doing about the documentary thing on
Joyce Wood and stuff.
Yeah, and I started to give her an ear, but I started to also see her change because she became a parent. What I got to figure out.
Hey, Bianca, are you there?
Diversity, equity.
Okay.
I think she is, but it's because she became a parent that I felt like she was having a shift in her perspective, and then obviously when she spoke too much at the Daily Wire, she kind of got too close to the sun and got a reality check. So it's kind of evident a lot of what the problem is, but with DEI, it's just constantly putting people in a constant state of victimhood that they can't get out of, and that's what I feel like race does for us as a people. It keeps us in this loop, and that one group benefits off us being strong Black victims. because group identity is how they control their influence in America. It's group identity behind their religious belief. Because a lot of people confuse being a Jew with a race.
Being Jewish.
Yeah, they confuse it with a race. And Jew is a religious identity, but they conflate the two intentionally because it's sort of a way that they can kind of purport you're being racist when it's not a race. It's just an extra layer of victimhood. I feel like with civil rights, Martin Luther King's whole civil rights campaign was financed and sponsored by Jews from B'nai B'rith.
No, it's not a belief, buddy. It's the truth. The civil rights movement was backed and funded by the Jewish oligarchy, which is why Black people have what we have today, which is what we call hoods now. We used to have neighborhoods, but now we have hoods because people are no longer being neighborly, thanks to these ideologies that came from Martin Luther King and these race baiters.
And it was sponsored by Jacobs Rothschild in Atlanta. So, and I feel like he got them civil rights. Like the biggest civil rights organization today is the ADL. Biggest one on earth is the ADL. Now, did we get it, or we're kind of on the outside? Nothing happened with us, so we got screwed there. And the Civil Rights Act was initially being pushed through JFK, and I felt like that was another potential reason they might have got rid of him, because once Lyndon B. Johnson had took over,
they got rid of JFK because he found out that the Israelis stole uranium from our military, and that they're going to use that uranium, which they still have today, to create nukes. And they had an illegal nuclear war program going on, and JFK told them to give that stuff back, or it's going to be a problem. And the Israelis, I mean, this is just my opinion, guys. This is just allegedly, but the Israelis did not want to give up that uranium because they knew that nukes were the only way that they could defend themselves from the 8 spheres of evil. So what did they have to do? They got this man clipped, and he got what? Sniped? Mossad, that is their biggest tactic that they use. They rig cars to explode, and they basically use sniper rifles. So it's not far-fetched.
The motivation behind the Civil Rights Act, and that was also with him creating the War on Poverty. The War on Poverty was him creating the welfare system. And obviously, with the welfare system, the requirement was for a mother to get government assistance. A single parent home was required. They couldn't have a father in the house. And I felt like that incentivized, mixed with that, and also mixed with Gloria Steinem, part of them boys, her and feminism, I feel like it pushed our woman to kind of separate.
I'm just giving respect to him while he's talking.
Sorry.
I can't hear you though.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
I can't hear you on my side.
Okay. You can't hear us?
I still can't hear you.
This is really
I don't know what's going on. It says that there's a recording error. I don't know.
I'm not sure because it almost sounds like you responded.
Do you want me to log off and log back on?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to log off and log back on.
Okay. I think she got some smoke for you, bro. She's tried to get back on here twice.
That's all right. I'm ready. It's just all dialogue exchange. This is how society advances, from exchanging personal development, what we learn, and we all can learn from each other. But what I was saying is feminism.
Just real quick, let me read a couple of super chats. This is actually in reference to Bianca, who was on earlier. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Many are just learning the truth. DD, Bianca is far above most of your audience's knowledge down the rabbit hole. His hypocrisy targets an entire race, referring to Charlie Kirk. I agree. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Healthy green lifestyle. KT and Bianca, what do you think about? And I'm constantly asked about this person, which I'm not well versed on. So before you answer that, let me bring Bianca back in so both of you can speak on it. Bianca, are you there?
Okay, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Okay, I am here. I can't hear y'all, but whatever. I'll try to hear you from the TV.
Well, there's a comment.
I wanted
on the
to.
screen right now.
I don't want to take up too much time, but there was so much that this gentleman said, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. But I wanted to address some of the things that you said because there is a lot of truth, but you also are missing some details. And so, first of all, I congratulate you because you are showing that you studied to show yourself approved, okay? But one thing I want people to know that are listening to this is that Black Hebrew Israelites the people who stand out on the street screaming and hollering, is not the same as someone who says that they are a Hebrew Israelite. That's like conflating the idea of Black Lives Matters with the political group of Black Lives Matters, okay? So I want to set that record straight, okay? Now that we understand that, when a person who is educated about their identity, that they are a Hebrew Israelite, and they're not affiliated with a religious sect or group who claims superiority, they're saying that they identify with the Deuteronomy 28 curses. They understand that Christianity is a religion, as well as these other religions, and they understand history, okay? And that they serve the Creator, which is the Most High Yah, and Yeshua, who is the Son, who is God manifested in the flesh. Now, you mentioned something about the exiles, and yes, you are correct with that, and the whole colonialization, the terms of race, or what have you. And with the Portuguese, you got to remember, many of them were Hebrews. So you kind of lumped us all together as Africans, and that's incorrect, okay? What you have to understand is that, first of all, there are, everybody was Black, okay? From the beginning. We were made out of dirt, okay? So there were three that came off of that ship of sons of Noah. That was Japheth, Ham, and Shem. When we talk about Black people, you have to make sure that you understand there's a difference between a Shemite and a Hamite. The Shemites were enslaved by the Hamites, the Africans, okay? The Bible makes this clear that the people of Israel, the children of Israel, look like Ethiopians, hence the reason why Moses was able to, basically go in with the Egyptians, Joseph as well, and even our Messiah, right? So when we look at it from that standpoint, we have to understand that the Hamites are not Shemites, although they may look alike. So when you put them all together and say, oh, we're African, you're playing into this racist ideology where they try to eliminate our identity. And the Bible talks about us being called a byword. That's why we've been called colored, Negro, African American. Our history has been literally diluted. This is why they have confused everybody from saying, oh, Columbus discovered America. Well, they didn't put in the books that we were already here. Moors and the Israelites were already in America before Columbus. But if you look at Ivan Van Sertima's book, that we were here before Columbus, all these details come up where they have found artifacts and everything that point to our history. When you look at the map of 1774 versus 1776, right there where they took all the slaves, it said Kingdom of Judah. They knew exactly who they were taking. They weren't taking Africans. They were taking a certain segment of people. And this fulfilled the prophecy that we would go back into Egypt once again, meaning bondage. In ships. No other group of people fit these curses. The Ashkenazi Jews are not real Jews. Revelations 2:9 and 3:9 says those who claim they are Jews and are not. Well, we already know that the greatest historians talked about the Jews. We have Josephus, we have Herodotus, who all acknowledge that the Egyptians and the Israelites having black skin and woolly hair. Josephus, in his Antiquities of the Jews, talks about Egyptians and Jews looking similar, but are different. We have, even white European historians, John Ogilvy, in his book, Africa, 1670, talking about Jews in Africa as being Black and scattered among Black nations. And he highlights that. We have Sir Geoffrey Higgins in his book, Anacalypsis on 1836, who says the same thing. So when we truth, and then they twist it to make themselves superior. But when we pull back and we look at what the Bible says, it talks about what we look like. It says that we would come from the West. When we exiled out from Europe, we came and went down.
What the actual name is for where we come from. Are we going to go back to Pangea? Because that's going to be a little ridiculous. So I say African because that is the source of where we were trafficked from.
Africa wasn't even the original name.
I'm sorry, I let you speak if I could speak.
Africa wasn't even the original name, sir.
And as I said, I just said we can go back to the name before that, Acubulan, or we can go back to Pangea. How far back do you want to go? Are we Pangeans? So that's my point. It doesn't matter.
So we can go, but see, here's the difference. This is what we want to talk about here because we have gatekeepers of the information, right? So do you believe that the Bible is the ultimate truth?
I don't personally. I have a father. My stepfather's a pastor at a church in the States. I've been living overseas since 2008. From my learnings and everything that I've come across with living abroad, right now, I live in New Zealand. I'm not in America. So from all my knowledge and for what I understood personally is that me finding out that Christianity was pushed on us during the transatlantic slave trade, I no longer subscribe to being called a Christian or being a part of Christianity. And I told my stepfather that he understood where I was coming from. I said, I feel like religion separates us from other
Congrats,
people.
I don't either.
And me personally, I couldn't practice a faith that was pushed on to us while we were being human trafficked. That's just my outlook on it. But I also feel like there are some things you can learn from it in different ways because there are morality stories within Christianity. And there's a lot of good there, but I haven't been a part of being called a Christian because also there was questions I asked as a kid that I never could get answers for. I didn't understand the concept of Trinity. And there's obviously there's different forms of Christianity, different interpretations around the Trinity and those sorts of things, but it just didn't quite resonate with me.
Shit. Okay, guys. So I had to stop it there. I'm not sure where they were going. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pause it there. I don't know what they were talking about at that point. I thought we were talking about Charlie Kirk, but I think they kind of went off the deep end, went off the rails again. Going to have to pause his last debate on his channel. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'm gonna end it there. So there are a lot of things that I want to impact on what he was saying when it comes to this. Him claiming that Charlie Kirk is a hypocrite and things like that. So I did a lot of fact checking during this video, and there are a lot of things. Well, I'm not going to say a lot, but there are a few things that he got that was wrong. I fact checked that if Palantir was, being sponsored or shown at Charlie Kirk's memorial, and that was false. And he said that Charlie Kirk said that over 50% of the murders here in America are committed by Black people. He said that's not true. Statistically, that's not true. But I fact checked that in front of everybody, and that is actually true coming from the FBI. But he doesn't believe, FBI statistics, which is funny because when he brought up a statistic when it pertains to, children being abused, because we all know that children, are the most vulnerable here in our country. He brought up the statistic saying that, majority white men are, you know, abusing kids, and that Charlie Kirk is basically being a hypocrite because he's not bringing that up. Okay, now, first of all, we have to call a spade here, dude. You're bringing up an FBI statistic, but in our debate, you didn't believe the FBI because the United States Sentencing Commission, they do business with the FBI. They get their statistics from the FBI. And if you guys don't believe me, I mean, I'm looking at it right here. Oh snap! I mean, this, you guys can't see my phone, but it's right here on ChatGPT. So, I mean, that was just not true. And then another thing that I just did not understand is that when it comes to Charlie Kirk being racist, him pointing out the fact that, you know, black people, you know, are doing majority of the murders, I don't necessarily think that's racist when the statistics show it. And then on another note, I just want to point this out. And I like the guy, I like his content, but I feel like a lot of his, you know, his claims are just still based on conspiracy. So that's why I was just a little lost. And there were also some other things that I fact checked as well, as far as some things that he said. But I don't want to get into everything because I don't want to stretch the video, because it kind of got sidetracked. And yeah, we kind of, I'm not going to say we wasted a little time, but we kind of wasted some time when it came to the Bianca lady. But yeah, guys, last final thoughts on this. I definitely don't think Charlie Kirk was a racist at all. I think that he was just a God-fearing man who was, you know, coming to his senses when it came to Israel, which is another thing that I was just confused about when it comes to Didi. He's more focused and fixated on how long it took for Charlie Kirk to call out Israel, other than the fact that he actually did it. Now, he brings up the fact that there are over 250 people in our government that has ties to Israel, which is strange. I'm not going to argue with that. But how many of those 250 people who have ties to Israel actually came out and critiqued Israel? You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, I would focus more on Charlie Kirk having an awakening and him being shot after that. So it's just a lot of things that just don't add up. Because my thing is, if you're going to use facts and if you're going to use numbers, okay, where are those facts coming from? The FBI, the U.S. Census Bureau, it's like, do you trust the government or not? You know, and I'm not going to sit up here and say, you know, I don't, you know, trust statistics and things like that, because let's be honest, guys, the people who do these jobs, they aren't the people who are in positions of power. Now, they could be being controlled by the people in positions of power. That could be the case in some, you know, states. But let's just be honest here, guys. If a person is getting paid to do a job and they don't want to risk losing their job, when it comes to just reporting statistics and things like that, I mean, a lot of people are going to point out, and if they don't do it right, it's going to be investigated. These people aren't getting off easily, especially when it comes to Washington, D.C. We know this is the case because they were skewing the numbers when it comes to crime. They were making, you know, basically, you know, I don't want to give you guys the wrong information, but basically they were making felonies misdemeanors. Okay, well, we're just going to make it that simple. But on the other hand, it's like, I just see it as a disrespectful way of just not letting things be revealed, because we're going off of conspiracy. And then he said that, you know, and this is just the last thing I'm going to say negatively that I felt about his video, is that it's trending. So just because it's trending, that means you should talk about it just because everybody else is doing it. I don't really necessarily think that to be the case. If someone else is doing something that is honestly disingenuous, let's just be honest. If it isn't factually based information, Now, I'm not going to sit up here and throw out every conspiracy, but if these are just moot conspiracies, if these are just platitude statements that can't be proven, I mean, what are we doing here? We're just talking about nothing. So that's all I got when it comes to that video. There are more things, but if you guys want to go back and rewatch it, please feel free to do that. This is an early live stream, guys. I just wanted to do this because I just don't understand where he's coming from. And now that I'm watching this video, it's like I don't know if he like trusts the government fully or not, you know. So I'm gonna have to definitely get him back on the show and ask him about that, because you know you can't say you don't trust the FBI, but you're using FBI statistics. Okay, but if you guys haven't already, please make sure you like the video and share it with your friends. I really do appreciate you guys sticking around. And I will see you guys next time. And thank you guys all for being a part of the live stream. And I'm out of here, guys. Peace out.